I'm Sarah Smith. I'm a horticulturalist here at Rogers Gardens, and today I have the very distinct pleasure of interviewing Karen Hedges. Karen Hedges was the director of horticulture for Disneyland Resorts up until 2013, and also the founder of the Disneyland Rose. So we're going to talk about that today. That's the beautiful rose that we're sitting here with all over here in the vases as well. So we're going to get a little bit into the story and the history of how that got founded. This is super exciting. So tell me about working at Disneyland. How did you start working there? What was your kind of stepping stones to getting there?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. Really,
thank you.
Being here in Rogers has been a part of my life too.
Yeah.
So it's a good match. Well, stepping back a little bit before Disneyland, I went to school at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo. Yay.
Yay.
And got my degree there in horticulture. Came back to Orange County, where I was born and raised, and worked for a landscape contractor, doing design and sales and installation maintenance. But when I was doing the design work for them, Disneyland Hotel contacted me and wanted to know if I would do some work for them. So I started doing some redesign work for them, and after about a month or two of that, they asked if I would just join their team, which I did. And I was really, really happy to do that. And I worked at Disneyland Hotel for several years as the landscape manager. Later was transferred to Disneyland. And as Disneyland grew into a resort, more hotels, and another park, my responsibilities grew with the development. And after I knew, 32 years had gone by. I'd been there a long time.
That's very, very exciting. So you were actually responsible for discovering and finding the Disneyland Rose. So I know you have a gorgeous, gorgeous property there. Obviously, Walt Disney was super into gardening, and that was something super important, and he had a passion for that. How did you discover the Disneyland Rose? What were you looking for? Why did you even decide to have a specific Disneyland Rose?
Well, it was back in 2001, in January, and the Disneyland landscapers were planting hundreds of bare roses that season. And I was going from place to place, land to land, where they were planting in New Orleans Square and along the moat at the castle, and over at Storybook Land Q, where we were putting different colors of roses. And so as I was transversing across property, I just started thinking about the names of these roses and how a lot of celebrities had roses named after them, and presidents of the United States had roses named after them. And I thought, why not Disneyland? It's an icon as well.
Yeah.
So I took that idea to my boss, Vice President of Facilities Asset Management at that time, and he said, it sounds like a good idea, but he really wasn't a plant person. And he said, why don't you take it to marketing and see if that's something that they'd be interested in? And they were. So they went to corporate, see if they could use the Disneyland logo name.
Yeah.
So they flew up the flagpole on their end, and I went to Jackson Perkins, who was one of our major suppliers of roses, to see if they were interested, and they were, and that was kind of the way the ball got rolling.
Yeah. So when you were going to actually look for the rose, what were the attributes? What were you looking for in the rose, and how did you finally make the final decision on which one was going to have the Disneyland name?
Well, we knew we wanted to put it in the gardens, so it needed to be a floribunda rose. It needed to be a good shrub rose. It needed to be healthy, disease resistant, compact, dark green leaves. Of course, we wanted the color to be really special and beautiful. And it needed to be seen from a distance, so that for photographers and photo ops and such.
Yeah. This is definitely a rose that, as you're walking through Rogers, it's the one that kind of stops everybody, because you can see it all the way towards the end.
Nice.
It's really kind of amazing in that way. Then the color is so, so beautiful. So you went to go look for the rose. You walked through the fields. How many different roses did you look at? How many different roses were you contemplating? Like, what was the one that finally was like, okay, this is the one?
Well, when I contacted Jackson Perkins,
Mm-hmm.
they put me in touch with Dr. Keith Zeri,
Mm-hmm.
who's their rose breeder. And
Okay.
I mean, he's internationally known for
Yeah.
hybridizing. Really smart guy, great guy. And so we set up a meeting, and I drove up to Somas, which is in Ventura County near Simi Valley.
Okay.
And went up there, and we really were only looking at the floribundas, so I didn't have to go through the acres and acres of
Yeah.
all the other roses.
Yeah.
So we met up there and just started talking about, I wanted to keep the color open. I didn't want to have a set idea. I kind of knew what I didn't think we would need, but I wanted to just go ahead and have him show me everything so that I could pick the right color. And he already knew, we had already had phone conversations about the strength of the rose and prolific bloomer and all of that. And so we were probably walking the rows and rows and rows of roses for like 3 hours. And I was taking pictures so that when I went back, I could show them photos. But when I came across this one, I was really stopped in my tracks because it was not only one color, it was an apricot, yellow, orange, turning into pink. And when I looked at the cluster of flowers on the rows of shrubs that I was looking at, they were already like set bouquets in the landscape.
Yeah, that makes them very special.
Yeah, very special.
Yeah.
So I told him I was really interested in that more than any other. And he said, okay, that's a really good rose, has good parentage, lineage, and it's a really healthy one. However, we don't have enough to put on the market for next year to the public. So I said, oh, well, what would that take? And he came up with the idea of, why don't we sell you what we have as far as inventory? We'll keep it in production, and the first year, people can only see it at Disneyland. After we were getting everything all buttoned up there on the property, I noticed that Keith kept looking at his watch. He kept checking his watch, kind of checking the time, and I thought, oh, I'm taking too much of his time. So I said, well, Keith, I think we're pretty much done, and I really appreciate your time. And I can see that you've got another appointment coming up. And he said, oh no, you can take as much time as you need. But really, we had already settled on it. So he said, I've got somebody coming in about an hour and a half, and I need to make sure that the grounds are cleared before this person arrives. And I was really intrigued, but I wasn't about to ask him who it was. But in about a minute or two, he said, do you want to know who's coming? And I said, yes. He said, well, the First Lady is coming to pick the rose in her honor. So the Laura Bush rose was being chosen that day, that very same day. So as soon as he told me that, this is back in 2001, and when he told me that, I thought, I better get out of here. I don't want to be escorted by Secret Service off the property. That would really ruin my day.
That's really amazing to know that both those roses got picked on the very same day, like two very iconic roses that are really, really special. How cool is that? Thank you so much for joining me today and telling your story of the Disneyland Rose. It's something that is really amazing here to have the Disneyland Rose with all the kind of iconic connection we have to Disneyland. Just being in Orange County, Disneyland's such a huge part of everybody's lives here. It was really, really great to talk to you about all of this. I absolutely appreciate it. The story is really kind of amazing. And I appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today.
Well, and I want to thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for inviting me here, and I'm so excited that the Disneyland Rose has been brought back again.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and I'm happy to see it. That's, again, such a success.
We do have the Disneyland Rose here at Rogers Gardens. It is something that's typically in a limited supply, so if it's something that you want, I definitely suggest you get it sooner than later because it will sell out with this year. But it's a really kind of special, amazing thing to have. Also, too, if you're not a big gardener, a Disneyland Rose is very easy. So if you're one of those people that has to have everything Disney in your life, this is a great rose because it's very easy to grow. It actually works very well in containers as well. So it's absolutely something you can have in your yard, even if you're not a crazy great gardener. It will be something super successful for you, so you can definitely have this rose. So make sure you come in and get that right away. All right, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Be well, be safe, and happy gardening, everybody. Bye.